right, today we're talking about multivariate campaigns within Tarvent. It's a great feature, especially if you have a larger audience that you want to test multiple variations of an email or a campaign, and then send out that winning campaign to the remaining portion of your list, and that'll all make sense in a minute here. So, kind of jumped ahead here, but from the home page, click on campaigns, and we're going to go into a campaign that's already created as a multivariate. When you're creating a campaign, you just enable the multivariate campaign at the bottom here, and that will enable that feature. You do need to enable that when you create the campaign. Once the campaign is created, you cannot enable that feature, so you will need to create a new campaign and enable it at the time of creation. So we're going to go into here and kind of show you what a multivariate looks like. So multivariate campaign looks very similar to any other campaign. The only difference is we have a new icon that will show up here, and this is your multivariate settings. Now, there's a lot of settings in here, so don't be surprised when you see this screen. It's not super complicated, but it does look a little bit busy in the beginning. So once we break this down, hopefully it makes a lot more sense. So with that, we're going to kind of go into what you're doing here. So the first thing is putting in a goal. So this goal just lets you kind of decide. This doesn't really control too much of how the system works. It just lets you know, it kind of gives you a reminder, especially when you're looking at the report, of what the goal of the multivariate test was. So you can pick that here, and then you can add in some additional information and put in your hypothesis of what you think it would be. Now, multivariate, the reason we call it multivariate, I jumped ahead here and started talking about the goals. So multivariate, the reason we call it multivariate is because in traditional A/B testing, you have version A, version B. So that's where the A/B came from. So you have two versions that you're going to test. In our system, you can have multiple versions. In fact, you can have up to 10 versions. And those versions can be for more than one change. So you can have subject line, you can have from name, and then you can also have content, or you can have send times. So you can test with multiple versions in up to a combination of 10 different combinations. So in this case, we have the two subject lines, one from name and one content. So that means that everybody's going to get the same from name, everybody's going to get the same content, but the subject line, there's two different versions of the subject line you're testing. So once you set up your goal, then you're going to set up your variations that you're going to have. So this will, again, set up all these variations. So if I have the two subject lines and maybe I have, two content, well, that means that there's going to be, three. So in this case, you can have up to 6 combinations. So that means that based on your testing audience, so I'm doing 50-50, maybe I want to make this a little bit less. I can slide this up and down, so I can say, okay, for this, 12 of my contacts, I'm going to do 46%. So 12 of my contacts are going to get the test versions, which are going to be these 6 variations. So that works out to 2 contacts per combination. So they're going to get that, and then it's going to, the rest of them, the winning combination is going to go out to 16 contacts. So that's kind of how this works. So you set up your test audience, and that's why I say you need a little bit bigger a little bit bigger audience in order to use this feature to make it effective, because you really are not going to be able to base it off of 2 and get a really good result. You certainly can, it's entirely up to you, but statistically, you're going to probably want more than this. So, but this gives you an idea of how this works. So for right now, we'll just leave it to 50-50. So, and the reason there's 6 is just like I said, the subject line times the from name times the content, that gives you your 6 versions, or 6 combinations, I should say. Now, the winner, you're going to send this out, and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to send it. We're going to just make it for ease of understanding. I'm going to send this out on Monday. So on Monday, this goes out, and then I'm going to wait 2 days or 3 days. So on Wednesday, it's going to pick a winner, and I'm going to base that winner off of something. So that something is what we're going to base it on here. So I can base it on the click rate. Of all the link clicks, which version of the email got the most link clicks? Or I can say which combination, I keep saying version, which combination got the most opens? Or the one that I like to use is which combination got the best engagement? And what I mean by engagement is, if you go back to some of our other videos where we talk about that engagement score is based on deliverability. It's based on the opens, the clicks, the opt-outs, just anything and everything that is engaging with this campaign. It's going to look at all of that in that engagement score that we give you within the campaign report. It's going to look at that engagement score, and it's just going to take a summation of all the different things within there and base the success off of that. So we could go off the sender score, we could go off the engagement score, the sender reputation, which one got the best deliverability. So we could go off of that, go off of shares or manual. Now what we do by manual is we say, okay, after 3 days, we're going to send you an email saying, hey, it's time to pick a winner. So then you can look at the reports and see, based on your interpretation of the data, which combination you felt was the winning combination, and you can manually pick which combination is going to be sent. And then for the manual side, then you get to determine when that winning combination is going to be sent. Is it going to be sent right away? It's going to be sent in a day at 8 o'clock in the morning after a 1-day wait, or what have you. So you get to pick that, but we'll just go off of engagement for right now. So I'm going to base it on engagement. I'm going to wait 3 days. So depending on what you want, you could base it on 3 hours, or you could change this to 1 hour. So I can go off of hours, days, or weeks. So it's really up to you on how long you want to wait. I would not suggest going off of weeks in most cases. Typically, you get the majority of your results from a campaign within the first 3 days. So that's why it's defaulted to 3 days. Then once that winner is picked, then you decide when the winning combination is going to be sent. So this whole form kind of follows the flow of how things happen. So once you pick the winner, now when the winning combination is going to be sent. Is it going to be sent right away? Or is it going to be sent, you're going to wait a certain amount of hours, days, weeks. So maybe I wait 1 hour from when it was sent, and then go from there. So I would have to select wait, and I'm going to say go 1 hour, and then I'm going to say send immediately after the hour. Or I can say, well, no, I want to send this at a specific time, so I'm going to wait an hour, and then I'm going to send it at maybe 8 a.m. So I can do that, and that in this case, an hour may not make sense, so I may wait a day. So on Wednesday, I pick the winner, and then the winning combination, I'm going to wait a day. So I'm going to wait till Thursday, and I'm going to send it at 8 in the morning on Thursday. So again, we don't have the days specified in here, so everything is going to be based off of when you send out this campaign. So it'll first go out to your test subscribers or your test contacts, and then those combinations are going to get tallied. After the 3-day period, it's going to wait a day. So Monday, wait 3 days, and then go from there, wait 1 day, and send out that winning combination. So that's kind of how the multivariate works. So now, in here, I'm not going to save, so we'll go back, and if I pull this up again, just so you kind of remember what the settings were. So we had 2 subject line combinations. So I want to show you what those combinations look like. So in the last video, we talked about your header and what it looks like there. So you have your from name, your from email address, and the domain that it's going to. So now the next thing we could do is we can set the subject line variation. So we had 2 variations that we talked about. So the first variation, this is what the from text is going to look like, or I'm sorry, this is what the subject line will look like. Now I can go to version 2, and now I have a different subject line that's going to show there. So I can control what those different variations look like. We still have the same features available, so you can use the emojis, you can use personalization, you can use Artatelli. Cool thing with Artatelli is that when you use it, Artatelli, where if you say maybe you've got 2 variations, so you could tell Artatelli to create 2 variations of the subject line, and then you can assign those to each of those variations within the Artatelli screen. So it's kind of cool to do that. So I guess I can show you that here. So I can go in here and maybe want to do woodworking, and I want to do lighting. So those are my 2. So, and I want 2 answers back, and I want these to be 30 characters long or around there. So I'm going to ask Artatelli. It's going to do its thing, come back with it. Now I can say, here's the subject lines. So I want to insert this for subject 2, and I want to map this to subject 1. And then I can do the same thing here and pick which subject line, what subject variation I want to do this on. And then I can ask Artatelli again because I don't like these answers, but then I can do insert. So I can map these individual answers to those areas. So now if I go back into my multivariate, now I can change my content. So maybe I want 2 variations or 2 different versions of my content. So I click save. So I click save. Now I've got this guy over here. So what this does, you'll see this little red icon. The red icon just kind of correlates with your checklist, but the red icon just lets you know that there's no content in here. So now for this content, I'm going to have to either start from scratch or what have you. So I can do that, or I can copy from the first variation. So I can do that. Otherwise, I can start from scratch. So I'll just say copy from the first variation. So now variation 1 and variation 2 match. But what I could do is I could go in here and maybe I want to change this and I want to use a different image. So maybe I want to use, I don't know, maybe we'll say this image, which looks almost exactly the same. Let's see if it does. Yeah, it does look the same. So maybe I'm going to pick something entirely different. So we'll just go with this because it looks different and not the greatest picture, but it'll give you an idea of what this looks like. So I can click save and I can save these. So now I can see version 1 looks like this, version 2 looks like this, and I can send this test out and see which version works the best. And then once it's sent out, then it's going to pick the winning combination and it's going to send that to the remaining 50% that you have selected. And again, you can change this. You can go ahead and edit this here if you don't like using a slider. For me, sometimes it annoys me because I need to get my exact number, so I like to just type it instead. So really just depends on what you desire to use, but that's kind of how the multivariate gets set up. The send process, the testing will let you test it with multiple variations, so you can pick which variation you want to test. And then the send, it's in orange right now just because there's some problems that we would maybe need to address, but I can still send it. So then I can send this out. It's going to go out to those. And you'll see both those variations in here. So I can see what both of those variations look like and still use the time and the time jumper and send it. So then when you go view the report's going to look a little bit different because you're going to be able to see multiple variations and see all those different combinations, I should say. So you're going to have a combination of a subject line and a content body. So in this case, you're going to have the 2 and the 3, I think, or we had 2 and 2. So you're going to have 4 combinations that you're going to be able to look at within the report to see all those numbers. And then in addition to those 4, you're going to have the winning combination. So we left no rock unturned. So you're going to be able to see the reports on all that. And we'll go over those reports in another video. So try not to make these too long of videos. Not doing a very good job at that, but want to make sure that we give you as much information as possible so you don't feel like you have no clue what you're doing. And hopefully you don't still feel like that. If you did, please let us know that we need to recreate this video and make it a little more informative and understandable. So until then, if you have any questions, please reach out to us through social media, through YouTube, through email, or pick up the phone and do it the old school way and give us a call. Either way, just give us a call and contact us and we'll be happy to answer any of your questions that you may have, no matter how random they may be. Until then, have a great day.